Hello, and welcome to another episode of the PintSizeAnalyze podcast. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking about the Mariners' recent trade acquisition earlier today of Jorge Polanco, and that was in exchange for right-handed starting pitcher Anthony DeSclafani, right-handed reliever Justin Topa, and prospects outfielder Gabriel Gonzalez and Darren Bowen. I'll talk a little bit about those prospects and more so what those players, what void those players will be leaving rather than those players themselves. And then I'm obviously going to be talking about Jorge Polanco and what his addition to the Mariners means. So Polanco is he has a $10.5 million club option this year that was already exercised, and then he has a $12 million club option next year for 2025 as well. The Mariners sent over Anthony DeSclafani, who, if we go to Mariners, he's still listed as a Mariner on Spotrac because of how recent this was. He's still listed as a Mariner and is listed at $12 million. Now, the Mariners received $6 million in the deal that they got Anthony DeSclafani and Mitch Haniger. They got $6 million from San Francisco. It sounds like that $6 million will be going to San Francisco as well as some other cash the Mariners are sending. So I would expect it'll probably be like $9 million that the Mariners are sending, and then they take on the $10.5 million contract of Polanco, and likely will pick up the club option next year as well. As for Jorge Polanco, I'm really excited. I think he significantly helps the floor of this team. They got a legitimate infielder who I think is definitely going to hit. He has the third highest second base WRC plus since 2021 at 121, or I think it's fourth highest WRC plus. So in 2023 he had a 118 WRC plus. He had only 1.5 F4. He only played in 80 games, so injuries are kind of a concern for him. He has not played a full season since 2021. Played 104 games in 2022. Was still good that year as well, and then 2023. But the offensive production, even in the years that he's missed, has still been, or the time that he's missed, has still been really good. He played like basically a full season in 2020. Wasn't actually very good offensively that year, but also one thing that's really exciting about Jorge Polanco is that if we go to the baseball savant profile right here, we'll see that he's in the 76th percentile for xWOBA. He had a 348 xWOBA last year. And on Fangraphs actually says 351. But still, he outperformed or underperformed his WOBA, or his xWOBA. His WOBA underperformed his xWOBA, is what I mean to say. He walks a significant amount, was 76th percentile, and then in 2022, 98th percentile. So, yeah, 14.4% walk rate. And then for the strikeout rate, in 2022, the strikeout percentage was 48%. This past year it was 27%. So struck out a little bit more, but still was walking a good amount. And it looks like his on base floor is significantly high. With that walk rate, it raises his on base floor a really good amount. In 2022, let's see, he was 91st percentile in xWOBA, but yeah, that's excellent. That's like the type of hitter that the Mariners need for certain. And even 76th percentile, more than acceptable. Let's go. So I want to look at. So Polanco is a switch hitter. He will be likely playing second base or third. I'm not sure which. I'm pretty sure it'll be second. But if we go to his splits, he's a switch hitter. Throws right. Yeah, switch. Wait. He's a switch hitter, right? Okay, I think so. It doesn't. I would assume BR. I thought it would say S, but yeah. Okay, so oh, actually, yeah. Okay. So he had a 1.828 WRC plus against lefties and a 115 WRC plus against righties. Now it was a small sample size, relatively, against both, but especially against lefties. But it's kind of interesting because he had a more like kind of contact approach against lefties. We'll see. Yeah, like only 3.3% walk rate, 19 sub 20K percent against lefties, but then against righties he had a 13.1% walk rate and then near 30 or 27% K rate. So it was definitely walking more against righties than he was lefties. But 823 OPS and then 775 OPS, so like solid against both. 442 slugging, 483 341 on base, 333 on base. Those are both like quality as well. Absolutely viable. And then it's looking like he batted second for the Twins last year. I would assume he'll probably bat second for the Mariners to start out behind. Well, actually, I don't know because JP kind of took over as leadoff hitter last year, and again, this remains to be seen. This will be talked about. I'm sure as spring training will progress, and we may not even have an idea of who will be the definitive leadoff hitter until opening night. But and obviously that could change throughout the season as well. But I would assume that Solano or Polanco, will be hitting second behind Julio. He had again, I don't know how much I buy into what order, where you are in the batting order affecting performance significantly, but still 118 WRC plus batting second. So I think he'll be good in that. I think he'll be a quality hitter in that second base hole or in the second hole. And then so let's go more to I want to go more let's see his run value. So he performed well against four-seamers, performed well against sliders, really well against changeups. Wow. Is that how do you do against change? Yeah, did well against changeups in 2022 as well. I think he's always been good against changeups, but elite, really good against four-seamers as well. Fine against sinkers. Not very good against cutters, sweeper, splitter, forkball, slurve. So yeah, and then let's see, xwOBA 458, 292, 474 on sinkers. That's good. Only 296 on changeups. That's interesting, even though you had a positive 9 run value. Okay, so it was overperforming by almost 100 points. And again, that's the small sample size. That explains that variance. If we go right here, we'll see more of his percentile rankings. 89th percentile in barrel percentage. That's really, really excellent as well. 82nd in expected slugging, 94th in sweet spot percentage. Now, I'm not sure how much sweet spot percentage actually matters. I have my reasoning for it, but I'm not sure how much it matters. But still, seems like he's clearly able to square up the ball more often than not. Range, not very great defensively. It looks like he'll just play second to start out. I would not expect him to be very great at second. Still above average sprint speed despite being 30 and having those injury concerns. Oh yeah, okay. We see the S right there, by the way. Only 5'11" though. So he generates power from a smaller frame, definitely. And then so finally for the final section of this trade, I first want to talk about. Let's go back to this. So Darren Bowen was a 13th rounder. Who was selected by the Mariners in 2022, starting pitching prospect. Anthony DeSclafani was acquired on January 5th, and then Justin Topa was acquired for Joseph Hernandez last offseason. That was December of 22, or no, maybe even November, I'm pretty sure. Gabriel Gonzalez was acquired in the 2021 international free agents period. He is a borderline top 100 prospect. He is according to MLB Pipeline, but he had a really, really rough stint in Everett last year. Still only going to be 20 years old this year, though. But Darren Bowen is really interesting because he was the 13th rounder, but it's kind of turned into a legit pitching prospect. And while it's kind of sad to lose him, it's also hey, the Mariners were able to get some legitimate value out of a 13th round pick. Same as Justin Topa, they took a flyer on him. He was still a rookie at 31, I believe, 32, and he was a quality late inning reliever last year. Now, I believe that Justin Topa is going to leave the biggest void for the 2024 Mariners, even bigger than Anthony DeSclafani, because he was not going to start. He was likely going to be starting the bullpen and was going to be injury depth, and he was not going to be pitching in high leverage situations like Justin Topa would have been. And so I want to look at some avenues where I think that the Mariners could replace. Well, actually, first let's go to the depth chart real quick. Let's kind of look at where the Mariners are everywhere. So let's see. Okay, this is a projected starting lineup against righties: JP 1, Julio 2, Jorge Polanco 3, Mitch Garver 4, Cal Raleigh 5, Ty France 6, Luke Raley 7, Mitch Haniger 8, Josh Rojas 9. Now that looks like a lot better of a lineup against righties or against lefties. I'm not sure where we see that. Okay, but still definitely looking like a much more solid lineup. Power ranking. Oh wow. Okay. So then let's go to well, actually, let's go spot by spot. So projected bench is going to be Sebi Zavala, Luis Rios, Dylan Moore, Taylor Trammell. Sam Haggerty is now going to be the one who looks like he'll be in the minors. He still has options. Dylan Moore does not, and Dylan Moore is obviously on the major league contract. And then Taylor Trammell, the projected bench, although obviously that spot could still go to Cade Marlowe or somebody else. It depends on how they perform in spring. Maybe even Colt Tucker. But okay, so next I want to go to, so we know that the Mariners have recently, in the past few years, really had this knack for identifying, relievers from the scrap heap pile and turning them into solid, late inning, high leverage situation relievers. Justin Topa is the most recent, who was traded for an MLB bat. Or helped trade Eric Swanson, same thing. Paul Sewald, Mariners were able to get 3 bats out of it, including 2, at the time, MLB bats. So let's see who maybe the Mariners, they have signed multiple minor league free agents this offseason, and let's take a look at, I just want to throw out some names for who could, take over that role of pitching some high leverage innings. Again, these are like people who maybe signed to a contract, or maybe were a waiver claim, or maybe even are only signed to an MILB deal, minor league deal, but it's definitely possible. So first we have Austin Voth, who is signed to a 1-year contract. He'll also be stretched out as a starter, according to the front office, as like starter depth. And then we have Joey Krebel and Ty Buttrey. Joey Krebel was a decent reliever before, and then Ty Buttrey was the Angels closer in 2020. He retired from baseball after 2020. But he had it, after 2020, but he was the Angels closer in 2019, I believe. Wait, actually, I'll just check his profile real quick. So yeah, but in 2021 or 2019, he was the Angels closer, 72 innings. He looked legit. He was a good reliever for them for a while, and then there's some other names on here. So we have Ty Buttrey, and then Michael Chavis. Oh, that's a position player. Mauricio Llovera, claimed off waivers from the Red Sox. Corey Abbott, he was with the Nationals for a while. I believe that's a starting relief pitcher. I believe he'll come into spring as a reliever. And then, is there any more? Well, okay, Caleb Ort was claimed off waivers. So yeah, that's it. But there's about 5 names there, and I believe there might have even been a few more that are just like respectfully such low profile names that they weren't added here. But I think that there are even some more, and these are just some names where I'm not going to sit here and be like oh, Mauricio Llovera, that's going to be like he's going to be the guy who is consistently pitching the 7th, 4th. I don't know, but I believe that one of these guys could easily do that, if not multiple of them. And I mean, someday the Mariners might flip one of these guys in another trade as well to fulfill another need. So that's just kind of what looks like their MO now, their strategy, and seems to be effective. I mean, they've gotten some legit bats out of it recently, and also some legit relief help and some legit relievers, so who are still having success on other teams like Sewald and Swanson. So yeah, thank you guys all so much for watching. I appreciate it. You can follow me on Twitter at PintSizeAnalyze. This was my under 15 minutes analysis of this trade. I am very excited. Jorge Polanco raises the floor of the 2024 Mariners, likely raises the floor of the 2025 Mariners as well. I give it like a over 90% chance that his option is picked up. That $12 million seems like a great price point for him, and I'm really excited that he's on the team. I've already heard that he's very well liked from other players around the league and should be a good clubhouse presence. Thank you all so much for watching. Peace.